I prepared a list of elements of design and principles of design, and included a few essentials which are difficult to apply to any one category. You'll find variations of these lists presented by many artists, and indeed, you may choose to focus on some elements more than others on different paintings. But I recommend that you really study these essentials. Pin a list up next to your easel and refer to it as you develop and critique your paintings. The elements of design are like building blocks of a painting, and they begin with shapes, perhaps the most essential element, circles, squares, triangles, etc., within the framed edges, which is usually a rectangle. Whether you paint traditional themes or in an abstract style, strive to compose interesting shapes, preferably one dominant shape, either white on a dark background or a dark shape on a light background. Find a way to break up the edges for visual interest and create interesting interlocking positive and negative shapes. A variety of sizes is recommended, but one large positive shape should dominate over all others. Great paintings usually have a fascinating arrangement of three values: darks, lights, and midtones. We expand this formula by seeing colors as values and evaluate how they contrast or harmonize on the painting. Contrast is the strategic placement of darks against whites for maximum impact. The strongest contrast can help identify your focal point or center of interest. Literally all colors can be described with hue, value, and intensity. Learn your color wheel and the essentials of mixing theory. Study the psychological impact of color. Consider how colors affect each other and become sensitized about applying just the right size or amount to achieve balance. Line can be thick or thin, serpentine or straight, horizontal or oblique. But line is more of a directional element than a pure shape. Edges can be manipulated from hard to soft, working in concert with gradations or value changes. Texture is a surface quality or the illusion of complexity, such as smooth or rough, hard or soft. Watercolors lend themselves to soft, subtle textures, or you can also render lots of detailed textures with a dry brush technique as the painting dries. Pattern creates interest through the regular repetition of a graphic shape or element. Now, a checkerboard or bricks form a pattern, but they wouldn't be very interesting as a painting unless we varied the pattern for effect. Movement is cycling the eye through a painting through curvilinear shapes and devices. Great painters know how to employ these painting principles, a more abstract set of guidelines. Unity is a clever, cohesive collection of the design elements I mentioned instead of fragments. Conflict is a tension between elements, and this builds interest in your painting. Dominance resolves a conflict, such as a dominant shape or color. Harmony helps create unity, such as similar elements which cooperate. Repetition creates rhythm, like variations on a theme, but avoid exact duplication. Alternation is a way of reversing darks against lights and vice versa to avoid repetition. Balance is either symmetrical, exactly equal, or asymmetrical, unequal. For instance, a ton of feathers is equal to a ton of lead, but visually they are vastly different sizes. Your paintings will be much more intriguing if you strive for asymmetrical balance. Now, colors too can balance in optical ways. A small red circle can be balanced on a large green canvas when it's just the right size. Gradation applies to all elements. It's a gradual transition from light to dark, warm to cool, hard to soft, or perpendicular to horizontal. Concept is the psychological impact or originality and unique contribution of a painting. It's a vision, a fantasy, or a personal translation of the essence of a subject. Focal point is the primary element or center of interest that the painting is built around. often the source of highest contrast, strongest color, or most detailed rendering. The eye should travel through and around the painting, but keep returning to this item. Think about how to capture the light, particularly with traditional landscapes, seascapes, or city images. Strive to make your painting communicate the impossible, not just the season, month, or time of day, but try to convey the fog, the baking hot sun, cool evening breeze, sounds and smells, joy and fear. In portraits, try to convey the personality and spirit of your subject.